Hey guys, Flissy Saucier is going to come live with me in just a minute. We're going to talk about yoga, massage, regulation, some other things that have been grating on her. She likes to have these conversations. I think we feel a deep sense of camaraderie because we're dealing with some of the same issues as our practices continue to expand. And let's see if I can add Flissy. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I'm actually feel like I might be coming down with the flu, but I'm waiting to kind of see.
Uh-oh.
I woke up kind of achy, so I'm just waiting to see if that is in fact what it is. I'll probably have to go get a test to check and see if I'm gonna, get everybody sick in my house.
Yeah, let's try not to do that.
Well, we try, we try. So we didn't do a huge amount of prep work for this discussion, but it sounded like you've got some stuff that's been kind of grating on you in regards to yoga and potentially towards like regulation, I think.
Oh, geez. Do we want to go there? I mean, I always do.
I mean, but we can discuss whatever. This is not the last time we'll do this. I enjoy having these conversations with you. So,
Yeah, I just listened to Jay Brown's most recent podcast, and
yeah,
he has an interview with Andrew Tanner from the Yoga Alliance, and they just went like full out with each other, talking about the new standards review and
yeah.
um, yeah. So I was thinking about that earlier today because I feel like I need to listen to the whole thing again because there's a lot of two dudes talking over each other.
Yeah.
But
I
it's like,
remember. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
Um, it's just it's such a complicated and interesting discussion. Like have been pretty vocal about my complaints about the Yoga
Yeah.
Alliance over the years, but like I really do think that they like this new um, survey. Like I do feel like they're really trying to engage with everyone and kind of puzzle through like what is the next best way to proceed. And so like every time Yoga Alliance asks for my feedback, I will gladly give it to them. So I've already like filled out the survey and I've been thinking about it
Yeah.
still. Yeah.
I remember seeing, this is what I was going to say. I remember seeing there was a brief interview. I think it was Paul Grilly.
Uh-huh.
Don't quote me on that, but essentially what he laid out in about a like 20-minute talk or so was libertarian stance,
Oh,
where
that was Leslie Kaminoff.
oh, that must be who it was. And
Yeah.
like basically he just said, hey, we don't want anybody telling us what we can do, and it's up to the person to choose who they work with. And I went, oh, that's great, but
Mm-hmm.
it comes with all the issues that come up towards regulation. What I'm
Yeah.
increasingly seeing is, I mean, I'm in the massage community. We have regulation. The yoga community doesn't really have that. And when I go
Right.
into yoga forums now, I'm seeing some of the same conversations from the opposite end.
Mm-hmm.
And in both instances, they want an outside authority to tell them what's okay and not okay. And I have a tendency to be a little bit more along the lines of Leslie Kaminoff's standpoint, if that is who, in fact, gave that little talk that I saw.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And I'm like, in this survey that they have, among the questions are, um, you know, about like who's going to enforce the standards and like, should there be a test and, those kinds of questions. And it's like, I don't really know what the best answer is for that because I think about the times that I've run teacher training and like I don't want somebody to come in and police what I'm doing. I mean, like there's so much
Yeah.
variety of approaches to practice that like if I'm teaching let's say I'm teaching like some kind of vinyasa training and then I have some like Kundalini teacher come in and evaluate my program. Like they're two completely different things. So I mean that's like who gets to choose what's right, and who gets to pick like how much anatomy you need to know.
Yeah. So in your area, yoga teacher, dancer, no license.
Right.
In my area, massage, there's a license. But here's the thing. Every time they go, okay, well, we need to enforce, they're like, give us some more money so we can enforce. And I go, hey, hold on. Get off of me.
Yeah.
For the yoga community, I essentially go, listen, guys, be careful what you wish for. Because if you wish for regulation, you might just get it, and you might not like where it winds up. When you and I had a conversation about business, what I think you need to do, and I'd really encourage you to do this, Flissy, but this also really goes to a lot of massage or yoga entrepreneurs, is you need to understand what the legal framework is, and then just really excel above and beyond it. You need to build a following so that you don't even have conversations about 200-hour training. 200-hour training for yoga is nothing. 500-hour training for massage is nothing. Like it's a drop in the bucket. It's like to me, both those standards are like high school. I don't really use a lot of that information other than reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right.
I'm busy on Google doing other research, trying to find people to get other answers.
Yeah. And I think, one thing a lot of yoga teachers don't realize is that even like their liability insurance that they use, a lot of liability insurance for yoga teachers does not cover hands-on assists. So like, you're not even necessarily protected, for if you're touching people in class. So,
when you get certified through the Yoga Alliance and you're up to date, it includes insurance, correct?
No.
Doesn't include? Okay, I wasn't sure.
I mean, they do offer an insurance that you can purchase, but it's separate from your dues. So they have like a partnership with some insurance company. But I actually get my liability insurance from a massage insurance company, and so I can touch people if I want to. According to my insurance.
Oh, Lord. Flissy just walked right into the landmine. You better run through that field quick and
I'm just gonna have my hands all over everybody. I actually don't really touch people.
I get. And that's why fundamentally, and I want people to understand that if they're seeing this, when I say that I'm against regulation for massage, it's because fundamentally the way I see things from my vantage point, the laws are not protecting the public, and in addition, it's not really enforcing what the law says. It's kind of like, well, the speed limit is 70, but if there's a bunch of cars, everybody just does 80. And it's considered acceptable, but it's like, well, wait a second. Like, what is the purpose of having these laws if they're not enforced?
Yeah. And that's where it is even within the Yoga Alliance that, like, I'm certain that there are schools that they're already not in line with the standards they already have in place. Like, why even are we going through this like huge standards review thing when, as far as I know, no one has ever showed up from Yoga Alliance inspecting, like, are we using the same curriculum that we did when like this was originally submitted? Nobody has ever like followed up to see if the facilitators are the same. Like, nobody's enforcing it now. Like, why? Like, we come up with a whole new thing. How is that gonna make anything better?
There's a lot of layers of things I can discuss, and what I see with massage therapists is similar, but massage therapists want certification. They don't want to just take a class, they want certification.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, they want me to give them a certification that says they know how to do X, Y, Z. And I go, well, I don't have a certification for that yet. And if I'm going to certify you, you need to take like 120 to 200 hours class time. And they're like, what? That's expensive. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm going to put my name on it, it's like I have to maintain a certain degree of quality control. So
yeah. And I think it's like a part of that is also like laziness on the part of people that are doing the hiring of practitioners. So like if you are at a gym or even at a yoga studio, people are looking at like, do you have the RYT after your name? Do you have like some other certificate added to the end of your thing, without researching, like, you know, are you competent in anything? Like, did you just show up and put in your time? Did you learn anything? Was it a quality program? Like, are you integrating the things that you've learned? Like,
oh, see, and that's where I get into trouble. Because here's the thing, Flissy, I love your work, and I haven't even really like dug into it. I just know because of our conversations, like there's a strong rapport and resonance. What would probably happen is I'll take a class or two with you, and I'll find things or tools that are really useful in what you're doing, and I'll integrate those immediately into what I'm doing. And then, not in your case, but in many instances, teachers will get mad at me because they're like, no, you can't. And I'm like, I can't what? If you give me some new tools, I can't just like put them back in the toolbox and just forget that they're there. Like, I'm integrating, because for me, it's like I'm kind of caught between the massage and yoga world. So I can teach yoga teachers like you some of the stuff I'm doing. But then there's a debate about whether you can practice any of it. But if I try to take the massage therapists and teach them elements of yoga, they go, well, wait a second, we don't. And I'm like, you don't what? You don't want to have a better life with less stress and better breathing and less pain? Like, these aren't two different things. I know they think they're two different things, but to me, these fused a long time ago.
Yeah. That's so weird, though. I don't understand that mindset. Like, why would you not integrate new knowledge?
Well, but the thing is, I think that's part of the reason, I guess, mentally we connect, where what I see so in my industry, what I see is massage therapists go and study with massage teachers. But at a certain point, I stopped being able to get more information from massage therapists and massage educators. So I would go look at yoga. And now I'm almost at a point where I'm like, okay, I want to go look at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I want to go look at martial arts. I want to go look at these other physical disciplines and take information and integrate it. And then massage therapists are like, dude, we don't understand what you're doing. Because typically the way Westerners think of yoga is like, you teach me. Yeah. And I do the stuff to myself, which is a component. But for me, with massage and yoga together, you had an active and a passive way that kind of worked together, where I could work on the client and help them with certain things using manipulation of soft tissue, but I could show them how to do some of the same things. And my yoga practice and my own experience of releasing chronic pain and tension was informing how I approached massage. And once I got to that point, massage therapists were like, dude, we don't understand what you're doing. And I'm like, listen, I don't do what you were taught in school anymore. I'm getting better results faster with clients doing this amalgamation. And then it was like challenging from a marketing standpoint, because it wasn't what the consumer thought of as massage. And I continue to work with that. But for you and I, it's almost impossible for us to think about. So like, you really like Vinny yoga. Have you ever done Ashtanga?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a fake Ashtanga teacher.
So, but the thing is, it's like, to me, it's a very different style of yoga.
Totally different.
But then when you take Ashtanga classes, have you learned things that you sort of integrated?
It has, well, I would say it more goes the other way. Like I have instead applied Vinny yoga knowledge into doing an Ashtanga sequence.
Yeah. So for you, you're a syncretist. Like, you're very much like me. You just mix and match and blend. What I tend to get is like, there's this almost traditionalist camp. Myofascial release is separate from trigger point therapy, is separate from yoga, is separate from, whatever other tissue, deep tissue or whatever tissue techniques. Whereas for me, it was like, no, you're just approaching the same issue in a myriad of different ways with different tools.
Yeah. And I think even like I would say among the Vinyasa people, I think Vinyasa people tend to be more traditionalist and want, even like if they have other kinds of approaches to yoga practice in the past, they tend to be all Vinyasa all the time once they get into that school. But I don't always follow those rules because it is, like you say, it's just one other set of tools. And if I'm working one-on-one with somebody and I know that they like a really like athletic practice, then yeah, I'm going to put in like, I'm going to give them sun salutations to do, like do 10 of them or whatever. Or, yeah. But I think
But
it's hard for, it's hard for people to grasp that. And I think maybe, I don't know if this is how it is in the massage industry, but I think probably like there are less experienced practitioners and teachers that just, they don't know enough about the tools to be able to apply them in a more sophisticated way. They can only use them in one way that they were taught in a sequence or
protocol.
Yeah, exactly. So you always have to do things in this order, and that's just how it is. Like,
I give the students, in my materials, I give them sequences and protocols. The entire time I'm teaching this stuff, I'm like, learn this and destroy it. They're just scales for you to learn to play jazz.
Yeah.
And I do that from day one. Like, I'm not interested in having you do a sequence. Does the sun salutation always have to be the same way? Same
Never,
sequence.
right, yeah. I mean, if you were to Ashtangi, they would say yes, but
there's a value in repetition because you can judge a little bit of progress.
Sure.
But at a certain point, that's where it gets more to like Eric Schiffman, like freedom yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did we get on that side?
I don't know.
Like, where did we come from to get there?
Well, it was about integrating information from different areas. And when I would look at a Yengar, at a certain point, I just went, Yengar was essentially doing to himself and teaching to his students elements of myofascial release that they were doing on themselves using props so that they could awaken their intelligence, which meant to me like awakening their nervous system, bringing in more internal awareness. I'm trying to teach some of that to massage therapists, but they have a very different way of looking at how bodies function, and then also the service that they're delivering.
Right.
They're delivering a massage.
Yeah.
It's an hour. It's in this certain box, and I'm like, well, yeah, let's change it.
Yeah. Do you think that I mean, obviously you must find in your own clients that your own clients are open to adding in other things into a session with you. But is that like an obstacle for teaching other massage therapists to break out of that mindset?
Yeah, when the clients come to me, I don't really have a problem at this stage marketing to clients. I've really ferreted out some of those details and what the clients are looking for. And primarily my bread and butter is like chronic pain management. When it comes to massage therapists, they're in a variety of work environments that may or may not allow them to even do what I teach because it's mat-based. So I kind of have to fudge some of it on a table to kind of get them started. And I've got to educate the therapists, the facilities, the spas. You've got to kind of push the industry through to be able to understand that mat work is an option. And then from there, you have certain marketing challenges because if you're not calling it massage, what are you calling it and what are clients looking for? There's like SEO, Google, keyword issues. Because I call it a reboot.
Yeah.
But the session's 3 hours long. And the massage therapists are like, I'll give an interview at a school and one of the students will raise their hand and go, I don't understand what you're doing. They're like, what do you mean the person is clothed for 3 hours? Like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, ugh, come get a session. Come get a session. I'm putting out video content as fast as I can, but
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like I don't get the sense that even though Iyengar refined how alignment worked, I really get the sense that if he worked with you or he worked with me, he would probably teach us different things
For sure.
because he'd be able to quickly assess where our practice was and then say,
Yeah.
oh, Robert needs some help with this. Flissy needs some help with that.
Yeah.
That's really how I approach the educational process. It's not by, just teaching sequences.
Mm-hmm.
This was just like a starting point.
Yeah.
And then we just continue, in a sense, to like improvise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's challenging too, like just getting started working more one-on-one with yoga clients, like partially because the yoga realm is so fitnessy now, like people don't know what it is to have a one-on-one yoga class, and it is not me like telling a yoga class to you. Like it's not the same experience as being in a yoga class where I'm like, inhale, do this, exhale, do that, inhale, do this, exhale, do that. It's more of a conversation about like, how are you feeling? What else do you do day to day? Let me look at how you walk. Let me look at how you do this pose. And then that will tell me like, where do we try putting your arm next time? And it's really, I feel like it's just a challenge to like teach people what it is what is the potential of the practice. And it seems like it's a similar thing that you're puzzling out too. It's not just like delivering your expertise, but it's like, how do you even explain to everybody, like, this is how it goes, and this is what is different and why it's better. It's more than you can get in a different context.
Yeah, there's a lot of when it comes to table or mat, there's a lot of issues just purely related to physics.
Mm-hmm.
I can use my legs and feet. There's multiple points of contact. It looks much more akin to something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
Mm-hmm.
than it does massage, as a consumer thinks of it. But the clinical outcomes were amazing. Increasingly, the clients are like, "Wow, I don't even know how to categorize. I didn't even think that was possible, that sort of thing." And I just continue to educate and try to share. There's a challenge with like humility when you feel like you've figured some things out in 15 years of practice. But in the end, much like when you talk about connecting with individual students, I try to do the same with my clients and then students, where I'm just trying to meet them where they're at and just walk them along through my process.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have a tendency. I think Iyengar was like this, by the way. When Iyengar was 94, was he resting on his laurels?
Yeah, he was definitely like, I think people don't even realize that about Iyengar, that it, like,
Kept going.
I had just did a workshop with Gary Kraftsow a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about when he was at the last Yoga Journal conference where Iyengar had given this keynote speech. Iyengar said, like, to everybody there, is like, I was wrong by making it all about the asanas and all about the alignment. Like, that was a mistake, making that the number one important thing. Like, it's more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he evolved. He continued to go. And the thing is, I've discussed this as a Westerner. The first time I ever encountered the trope of the Asian master was Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
It's the first time I remember seeing it on film. And like he's teaching Danielson to like paint the fence or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Miyagi, I'm done." And then he's like, "What?" And he like points around to the entire perimeter, right, and then says, "Don't forget to breathe." That sense in Iyengar's work, and then also in another person I really like. Have you ever seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi?
No.
Do you like sushi?
Yes, but only vegetable ones.
Oh, okay. So at some point, if you get a chance, on Netflix, there's a film called Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Okay.
And Jiro Ono started making sushi when he was like 20, 25 years old. And essentially, in a fairly short amount of time, he decided, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to perfecting what we think of as sashimi, Edo
Hmm.
style sushi. It's everything you've seen about Zen, a monk meditating on sashimi, the
Hmm.
perfect, just maniacal heights. And I'm go that because that's what I'm doing in body work, but I don't
Hmm.
have peers and colleagues that always understand why does he keep changing it and tweaking it and developing it. And I'm like, because I'm trying to push it forward because
Right.
fundamentally Iyengar was trying to relieve suffering.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like if you look at like all of these schools of yoga, like I feel like there's so much division among the practitioners. They're like, oh well, we do it X way and we do it Y way. But if you look at the big picture, like every single one of those guys has the same big picture in mind. Like it is always about freedom. It's always about feeling better and finding um some peace with something bigger than yourself and getting your body physically feeling better and getting your mind in like a better state of order, getting your spirit more satisfied. Like everybody is pursuing that, and it's just like everyone's got a little bit different way of going about it. And if you are able to like pick up the best of those tools and apply it to the person that's in front of you, then of course it's going to be different every time, and it's going to continue to evolve the more experience that you have as a teacher and a practitioner.
Yeah. It just takes on nuance. I think that your teaching practice evolves in the same way that your own individual practice evolves and you sharpen it. And if anything,
Mm-hmm.
having both, I think, and you can verify this for me, um, does one affect the other in your own practice?
Does one what?
Your teaching practice and your personal practice start to influence each other.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And like, especially spending some time training teachers, like I can see when people are doing their own practice, how that informs their strength as a teacher. Like if you don't embody those practices yourself, how are you going to be able to share them with somebody else? And you might not use like every single thing you've ever learned. Like there are some poses that I can't do or I used to do and now they don't work for me anymore, but they might work for somebody else, so I will still use those things. um, but yeah, you have to have some degree of experience as a practitioner to be a good teacher. And I also think that um, the more you teach, I think being a teacher gives me a hunger to learn more, and um, that helps my own personal practice too.
Yeah, I don't think it ends. That's where, within the massage industry, they're often looking for continuing education credit. They're looking for a certification.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think also with you, if I understand correctly, you have a real desire just to have knowledge for its own sake.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're like
Yeah.
certification. Like I talked to someone yesterday, and they're really interested in martial arts, and they're watching like
Mm-hmm.
Sistema. I think Sistema is this kind of Russian martial arts, and they're taking elements and components of Sistema and like blending it with some of the stuff they do in massage. And I go, he's going to be a millionaire because he's blending information in a way that only
Mm-hmm.
comes from somebody who has that burning belly fire to like
Yeah.
integrate more information regardless of whether you get credit for it.
Yeah. And I mean, probably like, I mean, I know not everybody's that way, and I do not, like, I usually cannot relate to those people. I'm like, why are you fine with being mediocre? I don't get it. But, like, um, it's in the yoga realm, especially, and I'm sure this is the same scenario in massage, where there's like massage envy and those franchises where they sell packages and not expensive. Like, there's always going to be like enough yoga teachers to do like just standard group classes. There's always going to be people to do that job, people who want to do that work, and there's always going to be space for them to do that work. But then there's also so much space to do something different and to do more. But I think that's charting new territory. There's not context for that.
Yeah, the thing that I bring up, and we had kind of maybe touched on this earlier, where we had talked about like regulation. And regulation really sets like the bottom bar. Like, it's illegal to do these things. So we're trying to excel like way beyond that. But here's the thing, when yoga is, on every street corner, it allows more diversity in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It allows for people like you and I to excel because we're doing something nuanced and different. The exact same thing happens with massage envy. There are constantly conversations about how massage envy has destroyed the massage marketplace. And I think it's just the opposite. Massage envy has done the work of creating massage culture in the United States as an inexpensive, regular part of your body maintenance. And now there's plenty of room for people like me to come out with niche bodywork services and experiences.
Yeah. I think like a lot of the like older yoga teachers, and not like older in age, but like older in experience, are all like, like, this is not good. Like, all these like young kids teaching yoga, messing it up for everybody. I'm like, that's like not true.
So, and that's the thing. What do? Do you fight them?
Yeah.
Or do you lead?
Yeah. So it's
because
like,
I would really, from a business standpoint, here's what I out. It's offense, not defense.
Yeah.
Like, well, the massage community's doing this. I'm like, so I'm going to go do my thing. And they're like, wait, this doesn't look like what we're, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not illegal. What does it say? It's backwards.
It says, oh, it's because I'm on the selfie mode. It says, how do I use this dumpster fire to propel me forward? That's my mantra for the month.
That's part of your like logo. We need a picture of you and like that quote. That's on Instagram.
Because I will sometimes get caught up in the drama of it too. I'll be like, oh my gosh, like whatever this new thing is will make me angry. Like, it'll be somebody asking some stupid question on a yoga forum. I'm like, how do you not know the answer to this? Or like, why are you even trying to do this thing in your class? But yeah, I can either get like all stirred up about it and angsty and ranty about it, or I can be like, you do you, I'm gonna go over here and reach my people and solve a problem.
It gets to a point, solve a problem. It gets to a point where, to me, it reminds me of Ram Dass. The turbulence that you hit, the suffering you have as your teacher. And I go, why am I so annoyed that therapists don't know this? And then the light bulb came on when you figured out, no, the therapists don't know that. What you do is you package and market the answers and solutions and make money delivering that content.
Right. Yeah. So it's like,
the things that annoy you the most, that Flissy says, the yoga community needs to know this. That's what you package and then sell in some form.
Yeah. It's like, I could teach them how to fix this. Yeah. Yeah.
Flissy's top 3 pet peeves. It'll be a class. Yeah. And, being vocal and outspoken, I am working on how do you butt up against those things and still be compassionate to the people you're debating with.
Yeah.
So let's say massage therapists are like, I'm totally for regulation and I hate that you're against. And I'm like, cool, okay, we can have a conversation about it. I'm willing to debate that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any less empathy for their stance. And I understand, I think, why they hold that stance.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to, heart-wise, I'm not trying to ostracize.
Right.
I'm just saying I have a different stance on it.
Yeah. And like for Yoga Alliance, like that situation is just such a disaster right now that like, I mean, there's a big group of yoga teachers that are just like, I'm out. Like, I don't care what they're doing. Like, I'm not going to
Well,
give them my money anymore. And I'm going to be very vocal about not doing it. I'm like, I totally respect that too. Like, I'm like, I get it. Like, it's a mess. I choose to keep my registration up, but
I've had people ask me to get involved. I'll have problems with something and they'll say, Robert, you should get involved with XYZ professional body governing board, whatever. And I'm like, I'll never stand that close to evil. It's like, I just, I understand what the law says, and I'm not breaking any laws. It's just, I'm trying to help, aspire to something greater. So I don't really want to deal with this layer. Like I have students, for instance, they'll say, you should open a school. And I go, but guys, a massage school is just to give you the 500 hours in Texas so you can get your license.
Yeah.
It's just the basics. I want to teach the stuff you learn after school. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so hard to get out of whatever the system is to deliver that information and content and knowledge outside of the system, when the system is all that a lot of people know. Like, it's just a given that you're just in that whatever framework. It is. Yeah.
There's a certain cultural framework, and I would argue, I haven't done a huge amount of research on the history of yoga in the United States, but I think that the way that yoga is taught and distributed and marketed in the West has been influenced by health and fitness and gyms.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like delivery. It's very different, I think, than how it was done in India, at least initially.
For sure. And I think, that was really the original intent of the whole 200-hour standards. It was like, what is the bare minimum someone needs to know to guide a normal person through just a fairly safe practice? The bare minimum. Because it was at that time where Ashtanga and power yoga, those kinds of practices were starting to pop up in YMCAs and stuff. So that was really the whole origination of that whole system.
Yeah.
It's definitely fitness realm. And a lot of yoga teachers have never had a one-on-one experience with a teacher or mentor.
I think that, again, from a teaching standpoint, I would really encourage you to just follow your bliss wherever that goes, even if the mainstream feels like it's like you're going to the complete opposite direction. And you just find the students who feel like you feel and build from there. What I'm noticing as I get older, I was a philosophy student. I don't get very far with debate.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, you don't. I used to think that debate was how humans, got to better answers and self-examined, and I'm like, no, they don't. Like on a mass scale, especially on Facebook, this is not Socratic ignorance and Plato. Like they're not having these, conversations and really exploring their depths. I think that debate is wonderful in its own way, but I think 9 times out of 10, instead of trying to convince people, it's more about trying to figure out how to connect with them, have empathy for their situation, make them your friends, followers, colleagues, and then things grow and develop.
Yeah,
not debate.
Yeah, it's absolutely, I think. And I think the all of the platforms that we have available to us now are so great for that. There's so many rich ways to develop relationships with people through the magic of the internet. We're doing it right now. Yeah, it's cool. I think there's so many ways that you can really build connections with people, and so much happier and more productive than trying to win people over through arguing with them.
Yeah, where do you put your energy? And for me, I sometimes get a little bit of umbrage. There's a sort of righteous indignation because what I want is freedom, and I want to be able to, put jet fuel and just go. But as I'm going, it's like regulation and rules and culture and packaging and boxes and
Mm-hmm.
preconceived notions. And I'm like, get off of me. Get off. Like we're trying to, push humanity forward. But I think there are a lot of layers to maybe being an innovator. And then at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, I'm really in the process now. I don't know exactly where your business is at. I'm in the process of building a team.
Mm-hmm.
And building a team means I'm dealing with the limitations not only of myself, but also the people that I'm employing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I need their feedback. You know,
Right.
yeah, I need their energy, their input, because they often see things from a different angle than I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think um it's helpful to have like a variety of kind of people on your side, like to definitely have a team of supporters that are just going to like go, like just keep going. This is awesome. And also to have um, someone that is going to see things from a completely different side. So even if you don't necessarily fully agree all the time, it will help you. Or even if you choose not to go with like whatever their suggestion is, you at least are having
Yeah.
another perspective. Because I know, like for myself, I'll get like tunnel vision on something, and it's like you're driving down the highway and you've missed your exit, but you're still like super, concentrating on the road. You're driving just fine, but like you should have gone over there somewhere. So it's sometimes
Yeah.
helpful to be like, you should be looking at that thing over there and head in that direction. Um, when, yeah, it's helpful to have somebody see things from a different angle to make sure that you are on the path that you should be.
I struggle. I had this conversation with my wife the other day, and I just walked in and said, "What's the difference between humility and arrogance?"
What was
Because
her
people will come
answer?
to me and they'll say, like, I'm fundamentally opposed to whatever. And I go, okay. And I just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And like people will get angry and I'm like, okay, do you want to debate it? Or, like I know you have reasons for why you think the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have reasons for the way I think I do. And I'm trying to say this with as much humility as I can. My reasons are examined like a
Mm-hmm.
diamond. Like burn it in the fire, melt it down, purify it gold. And it's from my own human experience in dealing with chronic pain. I don't often as much feel like it is from my colleagues' stance is,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm biased because I'm trying to figure out how to say that in a way that seems humble because I don't want to come across as arrogant because again it pushes people away.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely like, and the more that I've learned about like um anatomy and biomechanics and sequencing of things, the more of that knowledge that I have, it's very hard for me when I see something going on and just, or somebody makes a statement and I just want to be like, nope, that's just wrong. I'm sorry. Like, nope, that's just wrong. Nope. Um, and I'm like, okay, well, how, like, one, did this person even ask for my feedback about this particular thing? And then two, how do I frame this in a way that, like, they're actually going to listen to what I have to say? Because I know I've
Yes.
been in situations where I will not, like, I just don't want to hear whatever the thing is. Like, I've already had in my
Made
mind.
up your mind.
I've made up my mind about the thing, but yeah, I'm with you. Like,
Practice.
yeah.
And it
And that's
continues.
that's another one of the things where I'm like, you know what, maybe I just don't need to step and like interject myself into this
Yeah.
scenario. Is like, I don't need to
One of
just
the
go around policing people and telling them they're wrong about things.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. I just don't have, and that's what I mean about online forums. I just don't have
Yeah,
time to sit
no,
around and complain about all the things I think are wrong in the massage community, yoga community, or in the world at large. I'm like, okay, I got to make dinner.
yeah.
I got to
Sometimes
focus
I
on
will
my
just
little.
sometimes I'll just, I can't resist and I'll get into that mix. I'll see someone give a terrible suggestion, and I'd be like, no, absolutely do not do that. That's terrible advice.
You just keep working at it.
Yeah.
I think also because of the use of social media, some of the core concepts in my practice as a business owner were transparency, ethics, integrity, and there was another one. Integrity, transparency, ethics. I can't remember. But something along those lines where what I've really done is, I'll communicate with people online and just explain to them, listen, like after this video, if you have questions, feel free to Snapchat me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll respond in video. Being approachable and personable and authentic. I think that was the one I was missing. A certain sense of authenticity is something that pervades the way that I think of my business. Students aren't really used to that always in the massage industry. They're not familiar with educators. Why would an educator be on Snapchat? I've never heard of, and I'm like, it's not about Snapchat. It's about using the most potent communication tool ever invented to be able to connect with people and form strategic alliances.
Yeah. And I think like part of my solution to this problem of like wanting to get into the mix of things and correct people, and my solution is to show the why behind what I'm doing rather than to like start pointing fingers, be like, that's messed up,
yes,
and that's wrong, and
yes,
what are you doing over there? Is to like here's my thing, this is how I came to this conclusion, and I can help you like find your way through your own thing.
Pepsi doesn't spend its time marketing and saying Coke sucks.
They did at one point, but not anymore.
Yeah. But typically what they do is they're selling the attributes of Pepsi.
Right. They got that citrus.
In contrast, as a brand, it's the same thing with like hamburgers. Burger King doesn't trash McDonald's. Mm-hmm. They just say, oh, well, we're flame broiled. Mm-hmm. It's your way right away, or whatever attributes, as part of their brand. I think that's a much more effective way of going on the offensive.
Yeah, I think so too. And it is, I mean, and it does, I think it illustrates better whatever your strengths are than just like nitpicking at everything else that's out there. It's like, it does show exactly, what is it that you're doing that's different and unique.
And increasingly for me, that's a challenge, but that's why I'm leaning so heavily on video production. It's something I noticed. I remember thinking as I was releasing YouTube videos, well, if I release YouTube videos, I'm not going to have anything to teach because I've already given all the stuff away for free.
Yeah, that's not how that works. I think that it starts to build a relationship, and people have trust in what you have to offer, and then people will give you money for more knowledge because they know exactly what they're getting, and they trust that what you have to offer has value. Yeah.
It's giving them 100 different perspective on triangle pose.
Yeah.
Over time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know like, and I've been trying to do more and more of that myself, sharing more and more of what I have. And even at like, when you share things, even in longer chunks of material, like that's still not you're still not, I give a lot, but I know that I still have it's not that I'm holding back, but that if I have somebody one-on-one to work with, or if I'm giving a deeper training about a particular topic, then it gets like so much more in depth and so much more complete than even, even a larger chunk of material that I might offer online.
You have to meet the students where they're at. And I'm still playing with, like on YouTube, for instance, the length of videos. Mm-hmm. Because does it overwhelm the audience to have an hour video? Does it underwhelm them to have a 2-minute video? And I don't think it's either or.
Yeah.
I think you just continue to communicate in different lengths. Mm-hmm. And you just continue to give information, and it refines how you put the information across. The reason I get excited and started doing this is I feel like a lot of educators there's a wellness summit coming up, and I took my little better camera, and I literally sat down in 5 minutes and laid out an outline for social media and how to get started with video production.
Mm-hmm.
And then extemporaneous speaking from that outline, 40 minutes, just looking at a camera. And that's my gift. I can be verbal, and I don't need a script. As long as I have just a basic outline, I can go over it. But a lot of wellness educators, that means massage, yoga, whatever, a lot of wellness educators, I feel like they suffer from analysis paralysis when it comes to video production. They're completely overthinking it. They think they have to have a script. It has to be perfect. And it's like, no, the reason people are connecting with you, Flissy, is because you're real.
Yeah, and that is like, that's what people want to see too. Like, they want to see you and what you're up to. And I think, like, also some people don't realize that a lot of these, like, superstar yoga teachers that have a lot of, like, really fancy content on YouTube, there's a lot of yoga teachers out there that also have theater backgrounds. And so the reason why their YouTube videos look so pristine and so perfect is they have experience not just in teaching yoga, but also in acting and how to use your voice to communicate things. And they may even have a team of video producers working for them. But I don't think it has to be that way. Like,
no. If you want to build to that point, and that's what I was addressing in my video.
Right.
If you want to build to that point, you can.
Sure.
If you look at my YouTube videos, they started years ago with this horrible flip cam video, and the technology we're using on this phone is better than what I started with. Mm-hmm. But I don't go back and delete those old videos. I actually use it as an example. I can take the most modern video we've produced and then take the old video and go, so listen, this is what 7 years of practice will get you.
Yeah. And, you know, even the old content, I'm sure, is still good. Like, there's no reason to let it go. And, yeah.
You're telling some of the same stories. The illusion we have is because I think people have watched everything that's on my YouTube channel. They've processed all that information. They've read all of these workbooks, watched all of the DVDs, seen the 100 hours on the subscription service. No, they haven't. They're picking up bits and pieces as they can. So I just finished a table tie class at Lauderstein Conway here. It was 6 hours each day. Mm-hmm. The students are going to remember 1 or 2 moves that they'll integrate. And then they'll come back later for another class. Mm-hmm. The reason I documented sequences, the reason you give people like vinyasa, like a flowing sequence, is to kind of give them a starting template for exploration.
Yeah, exactly. And even with as much content as you put out there, there's no replacement for having well, no, I don't want to say that, because you can learn a lot from online education for sure. But even if you were to look at like every single thing that you produced, that's not the same as like being guided through the whole process of integrating what you have to offer. It's different. I don't know, but I'm also like somebody that's like, I don't care if somebody comes to one class and then never comes back again. I don't care if somebody comes week to week and never practices at home, or if somebody comes week to week and then practices really intently and seeks out outside stuff. Like, in my world, like, all levels of involvement and engagement of what I have to offer is fine. And I think that is also a place where some practitioners get a little bit too like clingy about what they're doing. Like, I think yoga teachers in particular tend to like seek validation for what they're doing and seek approval. Every single class that they offer has to be like the most insightful and the most perfect and said exactly the right things every single time. And we'll start to see students as dollar signs rather than people. And so I think that you have to have like some degree of like just continuing to give, and then just, you know, building relationships with the people as they want to be involved. So if you want to come and just get one piece of information from me, here, have this piece. If you want to go and have like an ongoing mentorship with me, we can make that work. If you want to like come for an intensive or whatever, like, I think that's a kind of interesting thing to navigate too, to have like many kinds of offerings and many kinds of ways to interact with people and build relationships with people without like being super hung up on one thing, always being sold one way or always going one way.
I try to walk people along, and one of the things I noticed was slowly over time, I was whittling my industry away by taking away their no. They said, you know, in-person classes are expensive. And I said, I've got retail and workbooks. And they said, I don't learn from workbooks. And I said, do you learn from video? I'm like, well, I don't have a DVD player. I'm like, you can download this. Like, well, I want some free stuff. I'm like, well, my YouTube channel has over 300 videos.
Yeah.
You just keep taking away their no.
Yeah.
You know?
And what I found, like, I in my experience, I found that sometimes, like, people will run up into, they will eventually get to their own no's. Like, well, it turns out actually, like, I don't have time, or it turns out this is really not a priority for me. And sometimes I never see those people again, but often what happens is they will reprioritize their world and they'll come back for whatever it is that they really want or need. And then I have it for them. Yeah. But I think that's a good idea of like thinking about like, how do you get rid of the barrier of no? How do you work around that?
You just, to me, you know, one, you got to follow your bliss. Absolutely. If you're in our industries, like massage therapists and yoga teachers don't get involved in what we do to make tons of money.
Yeah.
Now, if money comes, that's great, but that's not when we start doing what we're doing. I see that across the board. But when you take away the consumer's no, when you give them, you know, more options, I think part of it also is like, can you take away their no and follow your bliss at the same time? Mm-hmm. I never was interested in online education. Now more of my focus is in online education because it scales. Yeah. I realize I can reach out to more people and have a much larger impact. When I taught to school, the class at a school the other day, it's amazing to see a massage therapist come in and pick up some of the techniques I've developed, mm-hmm. use those very quickly. And then, you know, the class was Saturday, Sunday, you know, I get an email or a Facebook post on Monday evening where they're like, listen, the first client that came in was a fully clothed table tie. Mm-hmm. I walked them through just like you taught me, and they left a huge tip. They were completely amazed, and I'm good. That's because awesome. To me, it verifies that the information because to me, it's like, it's got to be perfect, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, when I continue to butt up against them again and again and refine the teaching, and that teaching process is a process of education for me. Mm-hmm. How do I put the information together so that they can use it when they go back to work immediately? Yeah. And that's where they're won over. That's where they're like, okay, I've got to listen to the rest of what this guy is talking about. If you can't do that, you need to tweak it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's like the same working with yoga teachers. Like when I was facilitating teacher trainings, like doing a 200-hour training, like it sounds like a lot of time, but it is not very much time. Like how can I be most efficient at delivering real life skills that teachers can use in their classrooms to make to empower them to be able to deliver a solid class. And I think that is not the way many teacher training programs work, because they're, the first one that I did was all about like, this is how you get into triangle pose, and triangle pose is like the 9th pose in the class and that's just what you do. And I'm like, well, okay, I can teach this like maybe 5 sequences. I have 5 classes that I could teach, and that's all. I don't know how to modify things. I don't know how to do them in a different order. I don't know how to like
the stuff that I learned, like I did a lot of self-study and then would read books, watch video, whatever I could find at the library. And for me, teaching yoga got interesting when they couldn't do what I'd been taught.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was thrown into the fire those first classes that I taught, and I didn't have anybody to help me either. I'm like, well, we're just gonna get through this. We're gonna figure it out.
Gonna wing it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I hope that my own, you know, yoga teachers that I train, like, I don't want them to feel like that. I mean, of course, like, there is always going to be, like, as a teacher, part of growing as a teacher is to have those things, like, happen in class. You're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, that's just part of the learning process, is bombing a little bit and having to figure out problems as they arise. But I think that I can do better and, you know, better prepare teachers. They don't feel like they're like what is even happening here? Like, I think it's possible to provide people, even in a short amount of time, like you said, like to have like a weekend intensive and then have somebody be able to go in and do the thing. I think it's totally possible to give people reasonable tools to use pretty quickly. And I think that's like another area where other yoga teachers tend to get really judgy. Like, oh, these new yoga teachers, they don't know what they're doing. Like, well, I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, why? No. Yeah.
They are where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so much of it is just improvisation and practice. You just continue to refine it. And increasingly what I would, you know, tell you to do, and any other, you know, entrepreneur in the massage or yoga industry, is when you find problems in your industry, you need to package and sell solutions. Mm-hmm. You know, if you say, listen, you know, I have high-end skills and I'd love to be able to impart this information to yoga teachers. Well, that's what you do. You just, for me, it's funny because I do get some people in the massage industry, they're like, who gave you permission? And I'm like, what do you mean? I literally just sit down with my associates and then my lawyer and go, is this legal? And they go, yeah, no, that's totally legal. And I'm like, can we do this with my colleagues? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, let's go.
Let's do it, right?
You wind up in this weird spot where they're like, whoa, what are you doing? You created an educational subscription service? They're like, what is that? And I'm like, it's like the Netflix for massage education. And they're like, wait, what? Like, who gave you? And I'm like, no, I don't need permission. It's not illegal. Yeah. I'm selling information. I'm just documenting what I do and continuing to push it out to the people who want to listen. And I'm getting really, really great results. You know, I'm teaching in an extremely interactive way online. That's controversial in my industry because it's hands-on.
Right. Yeah. So you're, when you have the subscription service, is all of it pre-recorded videos, or do you also offer like Skype sessions with with practitioners live?
What we did was, initially I didn't want to do online education because I felt like it was dead. Mm-hmm. It was hollow. You couldn't convey pressure. And then I was making so much YouTube content. I said, but you're teaching on YouTube. I mean, it's not the same as in person, but you are, you know, like, what could you do? And I said, okay, so we'll have a vault of pre-recorded information, which is great because you can sift through that at your leisure. But then we have one interactive class a month online, just like this with Facebook Live. So you can ask me questions and I can try to convey information as best I can. We do those once a month. And then there's a private Facebook group. And that private Facebook group allows me to take those people and go, listen, here's this website for anatomy. Here's this information from myofascial release. Here's this information from yoga. Provide links. They can ask questions. People in the Insiders Club will ask me a question, and I can literally shoot video to answer their question and upload it. Mm-hmm. So it's interactive, ongoing education.
Right. But
I'm documenting all of my answers and then providing that in the vault.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I think it's it makes so much sense to do it that way too. Like, and like my way of working, like if somebody buys something from me, if somebody signs up for a class, a group class, if somebody gets a private session for me, if someone does like a custom designed yoga practice with me, like that gives you as much access to me as you want. Like if you have a question, I will answer it. If you want my opinion on something, you want me to point you to a resource, like I will give it to you. Like it takes very little on a client's part for me to like just keep giving like, you know,
information.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think I've heard this about Desikachar and Iyengar. When Eric tells the story about going to study with Desikachar, and he just kind of like sat around with him for the afternoon.
Yeah.
Desikachar's like, "Oh, how's the weather?" You know?
Right.
And Eric is like, "Dude, I came from America. Like, I want to study." But then he asked Desikachar a question, and then he answered. And then Eric figured out you had to ask him questions. That's more my style of teaching.
Yeah, I love that story.
Iyengar,
I think about that a lot because
sequences.
Yeah.
Very specific alignment. Iyengar had a different teaching style where he told you how it was. And I'm trying to hit in the middle, but my fundamental teaching style is more like Desikachar, because the question you ask dictates what kind of information I give you.
Yeah. I think that's great. I'm a fan. I think about that story a lot, because I've studied with both Eric and Gary, and they're so very different in like what in the content of what they teach and also how they teach. And it makes me think about how they both learned from Desikachar and how Desikachar gave them each like what they wanted and needed, which are such different things.
Yeah.
Because Eric is just like so heart-centered and spiritual about the way he teaches, and how Gary teaches is like so cerebral and linear,
anatomical, maybe.
Yeah. But same teacher.
Yeah. The complexity in conveying information, I just continue to put out information in whatever form, including digital, and I just keep pushing forward. And what I can tell you is, when I really switched towards being on the offense, not worrying about what the industry does or whatever, when I really did that, it was like being on a jet ski and you just passed everybody up. Yeah. And they're like, "Hey, wait a second, you can't." And I'm like, well, no, it's not illegal. You've just never seen anybody do it.
Right.
For me, a mat-based massage practice in the United States is a statistical anomaly. Doesn't exist, but I'm doing it.
I don't really know many people around here that do it. Like, it's definitely an oddball kind of practice. I would say like my primary challenge right now, like I'm like definitely I got my sticky note about how do I use this dumpster fire to move me forward. But like I would say like the big challenge that I'm facing right now, as I'm like starting to navigate some of this stuff, is that I have like basically 3 different things that I'm doing at one time. One is I'm a belly dancer. 2 is that I am working with one-on-one with yoga practitioners. And that's kind of where the bulk of my energy has been. But then I also have this 3rd thing where like, okay, I think we can do better as yoga teachers. And I want to help yoga teachers too. And reaching people who are strictly practitioners of yoga and reaching yoga teachers, those are 2 completely different audiences. So I don't know, like in my world, like I don't think they're separate, but like in marketing world, it seems like they're 2 different places. And so that is the thing that I'm puzzling out right now, is like how do I find all 3 of those people that engage with all
Well,
three of those groups.
where's your bliss and what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then how do you market it to what's most lucrative and saves you time?
Oh, that's a good thought. Yeah. I do like efficient working is super important. Yeah.
It's only the reason I'm trying to build a team is there are only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
People would ask me, like, why do you, I worked with Knives Monroe. Knives is moving on to work with somebody else. I'm working with Tanner now. They're like, why do you hire a video guy? And I'm like, I am not a videographer.
Right.
Like, it's his art. I let him stack his art on top of what I do and go, Tanner, go. And he's like, well, it's not going to be perfect. And I'm like, Tanner, no. Do not analysis paralysis. It's like, Tanner, if all you did was take my phone and shoot content and edit it, I don't care.
Yeah.
You make art on top of my art and let's build a bigger team. Because I can get more done that way. And for you, it's like, I tell people this, like, what gets you off? Like, what's exciting? Go do that. There's too many people who live this humdrum sort of mediocre existence I don't have any interest in. The reason I get sometimes agitated is because I hit all this turbulence about you can't, we've never seen. And I'm like, let me go. Like I'm trying to push into realms of, freedom that essentially mean it's like when Krishnamurti talks about becoming an individual. You completely stand out from the crowd. And there's a challenge there because we're social creatures and we desire social structures and support, but I don't have any interest in maintaining what I consider like a sense of mediocrity, especially because in my instances with massage and yoga, it's about chronic pain. There's an opiate epidemic in the United States, and I'm damned and determined to be able to help people if they're having problems with soft tissue. But for other massage therapists, they just have a job, and that's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Yeah. I have a mission.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Elon Musk. I'm like, we're going to go to Mars.
Right. The Mars of chronic pain management.
And that's what's challenging to explain to people when they just, they're happy having a job. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when they look at my activity and my behavior, it doesn't chart to where they're going. And I'm like, no, I'm going to Mars.
Right. Yeah.
But what gets you excited, and then what allows you to make more income in a shorter amount of time, because you can pay people and delegate things.
Yeah. That'll be nice to get that point where I can pay other people.
And it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
It's like we want Flissy to be on the cover of Forbes.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
No, it's your message. It's your message about Yin yoga and dance, and you build a successful empire and business, and when you have more money and you have more resources, you can help more people.
Yeah,
that's one thing in my industry. Massage therapists have problems with money. They have big seated psychological, emotional issues with money. I think money is bad. For sure.
Yeah.
Money is bad.
I think any field of wellness practitioner, because what we do is so personal and so giving, and there's like an energetic component to it. People don't like to take money for it. Yeah. But you got to. And the money is not just for it's not just for your expertise and the service, but it's for all of the money that you've put into your knowledge and training and all the overhead that you have to do what you do. Yeah.
To produce this initially, when I paid the photographer and for her to design the document, was like $1,800. This is like 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've given this away for free now for 7 years for an email.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had more money and I could give more stuff away.
Right.
People would download it and go, "Oh my God, you gave this away?" And I go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Nobody knew what Thai massage was. I had to, try to create a market in essence. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think sometimes the therapists don't quite understand that there's greater capacity for giving and charity when they're coming from a standpoint of affluence financially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, well, I want to help people who don't have money. I'm like, okay,
Make money,
so
and then you can do
so how do
that.
you so how do you make money and give to those people? I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not dictating that we get to a certain destination. I have my own answers for that, but it's to help them think creatively. I,
Yeah.
I would make a YouTube video on a specific muscle related to your shoulder, and I would show people how to work on themselves. And then 6 months later, I'd get an email from a guy who said, "Hey, I was in a car accident. I hurt my shoulder. I used your video, and like it got rid of like a year's worth of pain in my arm."
Hmm.
And what did it cost me to make that video?
Yeah, like 5 minutes of your time, like,
Yeah,
and people like can have access to so much stuff. It's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's where, you have more resources. You can put those resources to use to help more people. It's really about, getting people just in our industries, yoga, massage, is to get them to think about, what do you really want to do?
Hmm.
I mean, really want to do. Like I ask massage therapists, who you want to work with? And I'm trying to get them to think target market. And they're like, I don't know, maybe athletes. And they're like, who do you want to work with? I'm like, Snoop Dogg, Elon Musk, Bill and Hillary Clinton. Like they were like, whoa, Lil Dicky, Eminem, Dr. Dre. They're like, and I'm like, yeah, they're people. They need
Yeah.
massage and body work. Why wouldn't I want to work with them? And the thing is, but that's dreaming, and that is an explosive force, I think. Having that dream to excel in your industry to the point that you're on Forbes, wearing a business suit. Flissy.
If I'm on Forbes, I'm not gonna go for the suit. I think I'll probably still wear the
Whatever
yoga
works.
pants.
Yoga pants, whatever. Lululemon sponsored. Yeah. But
Yeah.
the novelty that comes out of laughter. What does that business look like? Not doldrums, not taxes, not paperwork. The stuff that you really love. How do
Yeah.
you do that? And that's
And I
always
think
been
that,
what.
yeah, and that's like, I think not finding that is the cause of so much burnout in our industries. Like if you are just showing up to teach your, driving all over town, teaching 20 classes a week, same class 20 times, and you're like, by the end of it, your head is swimming, you're spaced out, you're not even seeing people anymore, or you're hitting that massage room, and you're like, okay, you start on your client lying on their belly, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then, okay, next one. Like, if that's all you do, then yeah, of course you're gonna you're just going to run yourself into the ground, like not being satisfied by the work that you do. And if you can figure out like what it is that excites you about whatever kind of practice you're doing, and then have in mind, like, okay, what does it look like? What does my ideal week look like? What does my ideal clientele look like? Who are the other, who do my colleagues look like? Who do I want to collaborate with? If you can get all of that kind of laid out in your mind, then it's not like, I don't think it's unreasonable to like, okay, well then, okay, what are the steps to get there? It's totally like, I mean, why not? Like you can, like, I really do feel like if, whatever your field is, if you have an idea in mind of, what you want the big picture to look like, as crazy as it might seem right this second, I think there's so much that potential for people to achieve whatever it is in their field. Yeah.
There's so much potential for collaboration, and I see consistently in my industry, people are operating from some sense of competition.
Oh, for
That
sure.
just
Yeah.
just doesn't resonate for me at all. It just feels dead. I don't feel the need to compete with anybody but myself. And it's like, Eric had a big effect on me in this way, like that heartfelt resonance he has. But it's like, can you have that heartfelt resonance and business hustle at the same time? And the business hustle of connection, the business hustle of community, the connection of like, can I give Flissy value so that Flissy wants to work with me?
Yeah,
And
I
then
think
we're
for sure.
pooling resources. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally think that's possible. Definitely like among like same kind of practitioners, like yoga teacher to yoga teacher. And I think there's even more potential for like yoga teacher with body worker, yoga teacher with like mental health counselor, yoga teacher with physical therapist. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think there's so much potential for collaboration across like kind of, you know, sibling fields of working, but I don't know. People feel like they're gripping so closely into what they have that it like they're afraid that like that guy might take it if I let go a little bit. But I think like the more that we
Well,
share it, it makes everybody
that go on the
better.
offense thing. That go on the
Yeah.
offense thing. Like when I started Massage Entrepreneurs, there was a sense of I was giving away so much information, like let's say related to marketing. You know, would I actually lose business because other massage therapists in my area started using my techniques and then excelling? And I go, listen, if you can't compete with people in your industry and find your clients, you deserve to lose. And you
Yeah.
need to change it. And that sort of thing about you change it, like you got a grip, right? And I do this all the time in class where I'm like, what did the Buddha teach us about holding on? It's like impermanence.
Mm-hmm.
In business terms, impermanence means you continue to grow, change, and evolve. And my brand of Reboot, that is fundamentally is what's at its core. They keep thinking, well, it's this workbook, it's this DV. No, it's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
evolving. And my
Mm-hmm.
commitment was to embrace impermanence in business and say, can I evolve with social media? Can I evolve with clients, consumers, students? That was the thing that I laid down. And then I think also from that philosophical standpoint is why I started looking more as collaboration and not competition. But I
Mm-hmm.
understand how some people can be put off by it.
Yeah. And I think that really creates trust among clients too. If like, oh, like I don't think that I know exactly how to help you, but I know Robert could. So the more that you can exchange references with people, I think that helps people have trust in you as a practitioner,
Yeah.
and
If you're
respect
not
one
creating a
another.
revolving door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're back at regulation.
Oh, jeez.
we're drinking beer. It's always going to go back to that. It's like laws, rules, regulations, certification.
Yeah.
Was anything else going on for you lately?
For regulation or
No,
what?
not
Oh,
regulation,
just
just
in
generally.
general. Yeah. I mean, that my big thing that has happened in my world right now is I finally I joined this wellness co-op. So this is part of this like collaboration thing that we're talking about. It's a space that I think the facilitator of the space is a massage therapist, and she has like 10 different rooms that are rented on an as needed basis for practitioners. And so there's a monthly fee for joining the co-op, and then it's just pay by the hour whenever you need the room. And then there's a classroom also that is available to rent. And so it's I have a space to see clients one-on-one, and then I also have a classroom to teach workshops or workshops or weekly classes. And that's like a big deal for me because part of why I quit my my many different yoga jobs I've had over the years is that I prefer to work like as a free agent. Like I don't like to be on salary with anybody. I don't want to be a contractor. I want to just rent the space, do my own marketing, and deal with my own clients, my own mailing list, my own people. Like I don't want to rely on somebody else to do the marketing for me. I just want to do my own thing. I don't want to be, and I definitely don't want to be in a space where I'm an employee and someone's telling me what I have to teach. So it's really nice. I think it's unusual to have that kind of space for yoga practitioners. It's more common for dance teachers to operate like that. I've rented space in a dance studio for years to teach my own classes. But I think it's less common for yoga teachers to operate that way unless it's in like church basement or something. So very happy about that. I have like a home base for my teaching and my one-on-one clients. So that is my thing. And I'm still working on this freaking ACE personal training manual. Yeah, so that's where I am. So once I get through that, then my next learning thing is the Vinyasa therapy training. So, but I got to get through that ACE manual first. It's no joke.
Yeah. Right now, I don't know what I'm going to do for training next. I've gotten increasingly like particular over the years. I feel like what I need to do is stop looking so much in the massage community and look more towards yoga trainings. Like, you know, networking with you and finding out, okay, craft style. Okay. Yeah. Leslie Kaminoff. Okay. Like, going into a slightly different area to be able to glean information that would be a benefit to my clients and students. I know that there's a wealth of information out there. It's just that I've been in the trenches building the business for so long that I think it's time for me to peek out and go into other industries and kind of take a look at what's going on.
Yeah. And I'm doing a little bit of that too, because I'm aware of some of the yoga subscription trainings, but I'm not quite as familiar about what is out there with more in-depth offerings. So I know Leslie Kaminoff's anatomy course is part of the Vinyasa therapy requirements, so I can report back on that one once again after I get through this stinking ACE stuff. Because I'm sure there's good stuff out there. I just am not I'm not fully aware of what's out there. A lot of what I've seen so far has just been like basically like classes, like a group yoga class that is you know, on a subscription.
Just have to look and see what's available. I know that there's stuff going on that I'm just not aware of because I'm in the trenches in the massage community, so I just don't see outside of that box all the time. It's just a matter of getting out and I don't know, integrating more information. That's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Well, cool. What time is it, by the way?
I don't have any idea. Let's see. 4:25.
So it's been like an hour and a half, right? Yeah. I thought it had been a little bit longer than an hour.
Yeah.
So listen, we'll talk again
soon. We still haven't
soon.
solved the world's regulation problems.
Oh, we never will. We never will. We can talk about this forever. It's not gonna.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's never
that's what I'm saying. Play offense. Just go. Don't even worry about
like,
the bare bones of what regulations allows. Yeah. I think we can do this again soon and just kind of come up with some topics that we'd like to go into more detail with. I'm still getting used to doing Facebook Lives with people and having discussions. And I kind of like that they wander a little bit. It's not quite so structured.
Yeah,
but eventually...
If anybody is watching and has anything that you want my opinion on, I'm happy to, like, you know, to
right down below.
Whatever.
Yeah, you just ask a question. I'm sure we'll both be happy to answer. But yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and talk to you soon. And then if you need anything from me, just let me know and I'll be in contact. Okay,
sounds good. Good talking with you.
Yeah. Oh, wait, before I forget, where can people find you?
Oh, yeah. You can find me at omchantress.com. And I do one-on-one yoga instruction and belly dance instruction via Skype if you're not local, or you can see my beautiful new space in Catonsville, which is outside of Baltimore. Yeah, I also do practice consultations, so it's just a 1-hour chat, much like we're doing right now, about setting goals for your yoga practice, and then I send you a PDF of practice notes. So I offer that too. So that's where to find me, omchantress.com, and same handle on Instagram, Facebook. I'm on all the things.
Nice. Thank you for providing that, and thank you for talking with me today.
All right, great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.